This one simple trick will keep you safe from dark alleys. Don't go in them. Also, if you'd like to stay safe from bigger stuff, bigger danger, I might have a tip for that too. The Economist has an article titled, "What the Surging Price of Gold Says About a Dangerous World." Speaking of danger, I need to be careful placing this one. Now, I don't know why I'm citing The Economist because I don't even subscribe, but the headline caught me. If a few words can line up a bunch of thoughts swirling in my head, well, gold in a dangerous world probably gets it done. Now, this is not about fear-mongering. Hopefully I've been clear on my thoughts there. Low-level knuckleheads making fear videos for clicks? We're not doing that here. What I'm talking about here is simply about planning. Now, the way to plan for a dangerous world is to become dangerous yourself. Sounds pretty cool, right? Well, before this gets away from me, the dangerous world that we're talking about here is not carjackings or street muggings. We're talking about regional wars, global conflicts, governments making poor decisions, rampant spending and debt, the things that could harm any of us, but not the kind of things that we could really plan for by taking a self-defense class at the local Y. Now, before I start to make sense of that whole thing, let me tell you quick about channel sponsors Summit Metals. If you're looking for gold and silver, be sure to check them out. Now, I'm on an American Gold Eagle kick again lately, and so are they. They've got fantastic prices on everything, but their Eagles in particular are the best prices I've seen lately. But don't take my word on it. Be sure to check them out yourself. SummitMetals.com. Okay, I think we were talking about the self-defense classes at the local Y, Rex Kwando or something. Well, one of the things that you'll hear in any self-defense class worth taking is that the person in the most danger is the person who is least aware of their surroundings. You'll hear situational awareness and ongoing planning. Now, being ready for bad things can help you avoid them or survive them, whatever the case. Now, the awareness here that's relevant to the topic of this channel would be that there are risks to your livelihood coming from decisions being made well above your pay grade. Now, I mentioned the lost decade in the stock market from 2000 to 2009. 2000 was a year of the dragon, if you're into that, by the way. And the string of events that created that lost decade. We had the dot-com bubble burst in 2000. We had the 9/11 terrorist attacks. We had war in Afghanistan and Iraq. Hold your breath again while I set this down. Now, none of us could have avoided those situations simply by keeping our head up. We need to plan. We need to be properly prepared. Jordan Peterson has an interesting take on the concept of what it means to be a good man. He says, a harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control. In other words, the dangerous man can take care of himself. He won't put others in danger because he's some dummy who does dumb things. He's aware and he's prepared. Now that last part, that's my take, Jordan Peterson. He has a PhD and he taught at Harvard University. He has better words than I do. I've been talking about the relevance of gold being more important than the all-time high rally prices. Ideally, you're in this as a long strategy. You aren't rushing in all at once with foolish ideas of buying high, selling higher, and getting rich quick. That might be preparing, but it definitely would not be being aware. Now, awareness would tell you that with everyone rushing into gold right now, the current prices are a little bit high. So my point is not to say you shouldn't be prepared because the entry price is high. It's only to say that when you put the two together, you're coming in with a plan and a little bit of caution. Now, this part isn't rocket science, but I think it bears repeating. I think a buying schedule makes a huge amount of sense, but at a level that's convenient, not at the top of what you could possibly spend. And that's why I set my monthly purchase to a 1/4 ounce American Gold Eagle for so many years. Now, that was a habit that I locked in that never went away. And then I bought more when I could. I would jump on unscheduled opportunistic purchases, and those purchases have actually stacked up to more than my scheduled purchases, but I still think the scheduled were a lot more important. So I'm going to stop us here. If you only have 30 seconds to hear me out, this is the 30 seconds. Now, some of you already have everything figured out. You have backups for backups, but most of us are still working on it. And if that's you, you need a plan. And that plan means creating a budget, putting together a schedule, figuring out what you can afford, and just starting to put aside what you can. Now, if you're waiting for prices to come down, there's a good chance you skipped over that part about figuring out what you can afford. And I know it's easy to do that. I do that too. I'm not saying rush in though. I'm actually saying figure out how to not rush in. Now, maybe you aren't even ready to buy yet. That's totally fine. I'm certainly not judging unless you haven't even thought about it. And that's being the harmless man rather than the dangerous one. Now, back to that Economist article. I didn't read it. I shouldn't reference it, but we can see from the bits that you get prior to the paywall that it's a look at why so many people are rushing to gold. People are afraid of the geopolitical landscape and the threat of a soft economy. Now, I would say anybody with their head up is aware of that elevated level of conflict in the world and aware of the reckless spending, the possibility of downstream issues. That's awareness. Knowing is half the battle. The rest is planning. That's really what I'm interested most in. It's why I chose a planning mantra for the name of this channel. 2 is 1 means have a backup. What I said earlier about being dangerous is all of it. Being aware in a way to avoid bad situations in the first place and being prepared in a way that you're able to deal with them if you can't. I would say having a few ounces of gold and a plan to put more away over time knocks out a big part of that concern and separates you from the people who won't be able to take care of themselves. So let the media outlets wonder why so many people are rushing in and treat gold ownership as some kind of new and exciting thing, the modern gold rush. There are just so many of those headlines out the past few weeks, but don't let anyone tell you it's strange. I mean, having a backup savings is about the most norm-core traditional thing there is. We're just doing it with something more interesting than dollar bills that get eaten away by inflation. Pretty simple idea, and you don't even have to go to the dojo to get there. Let's call it good there. I'm talking a lot about planning lately, knowing that some of us have probably had a head start on this. We don't have to go hard when the prices are high. That's totally fine. For those who haven't, this is not the best time to be buying. It's the second best. All we can do is do the best we can with what we have. So let us know what you're up to in the comments. And while you're there, be sure to hit that like button if you found any of this interesting. Be sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on if you want to hear more on the topic. And if you're still here, thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time. Take care.